Mike Johnson. Who is Mike Johnson? Donald Trump has endorsed him for Speaker. That should tell you everything you need to know. We'll get to that in just a moment. They're going to vote in just a few minutes in the House of Representatives on him as Speaker of the House. I'm not holding my breath. We'll see. You know, but anyhow, I'll fill you in on that. Also, holy crap, Mark Meadows is cutting a plea deal too, or at least that's the reporting from ABC. Mark Meadows' lawyer is saying, no, not quite right. I'll tell you about that. And also, the day after Sidney Powell cries in court and says, yes, I'm guilty. I did all those things. I'm so sorry. She goes on social media and says, I was threatened and coerced into making this confession. Why don't they just pull her confession? Just say, okay, that's fine. You think you were coerced. We're not going to do that. We'll just take you to trial. Anyhow, we'll talk about that in the first hour. In the second hour of our program, America, and not just America, by the way, the entire world. In fact, we're seeing this right now in Acapulco, in Mexico. A tropical storm went from tropical storm status to Cat 5 hurricane in 9 hours. This has never before happened anywhere in the world as far as anybody can tell. And you've got 1 million people in Acapulco right now who have lost power. They've lost internet. Speaking of losing internet, there's no pictures coming out of there. There's no data coming out of there. There's the last contact anybody's had with Acapulco was, the middle of the night last night. So anyhow, I'll tell you about that and this mysterious tipping point, climate tipping point that we seem to have hit. Also, that's how bad climate change has gotten. And in the third hour of the program, Florida's asking the Supreme Court to block rulings limiting an anti-drag show law, but hate lives on and history repeats itself. I'll tell you about that in the third hour. Also, Tommy Tuberville has refused to budge on his blockade of the U.S. military. Another pro-Putin Republican trying to damage our military readiness. I never thought I'd live to see the day. I honestly never did. That the Republican Party would become the party that is devastating to the American military. It's just breathtaking. So anyhow, Mike Johnson is the guy who is right now being voted on before the House of Representatives, or shortly will be voted on. They haven't yet called the vote. He represents the 4th District of Louisiana. He's been in Congress since 2017. He was elected in the 2016 election, the one that brought Donald Trump into the White House. He's 51 years old. He was the chair from 2019 to 2021 of the Republican Study Committee. This is one of the most right-wing of the right-wing kind of think tank groups that propose right-wing legislation, stuff to criminalize being gay, criminalize being trans, criminalize being a pregnant woman. It just goes on, right? Criminalize books. Yeah. Before entering politics, he was the senior attorney and spokesman for the Alliance Defending Freedom. That's the group that put together the lawsuit in Louisiana that went to the Supreme Court in the Dobbs decision. That's who this guy is. He wants religious activity in public schools. He wants Christian prayer at town meetings. He wants the coverage of contraceptives under the Affordable Care Act to be narrowed or eliminated. He wants same-sex marriage to be banned. He wants businesses in the wedding industry who refuse to support gay marriage to be supported. The ADF lawyers also wrote the model for Mississippi's anti-abortion legislation that led to the Dobbs case. The Southern Poverty Law Center has designated ADF as an anti-LGBTQ hate group. Before being elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson was in the Louisiana State House from 2015 to 2017 there. He authored the Marriage and Conscience Act, which basically was, one of the pieces that says if you're an anti-gay bigot, we're good with you. In 2017, he voted to repeal Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. In 2017, he supported Donald Trump's Muslim ban. He voted for the Trump tax cut, the $2 trillion tax cut that has added now at least $4 or $5 trillion to our national debt. He was in both of Trump's impeachments, 2019 and 2021. He was a defense attorney for both impeachments. And in 2021, he was the key architect of this strategy to overturn the 2020 election. And in 2023, he voted to shut down the government. He wants a nationwide ban on abortion. He wants Biden impeached. I mean, it just doesn't get crazier. As you know, you line up all the right-wing crazy stuff, and there's Mike Johnson. It's pretty amazing. Meanwhile, Mark Meadows. Now, Mark Meadows is the guy who could do some serious damage to Donald Trump because he was Donald Trump's chief of staff. He was his right-hand man. He was his confidant. During that time, Donald Trump thought that he had absolute presidential immunity, that anybody he talked to was either his lawyer, and therefore he had, lawyer-client privilege, or worked for him in the White House, and therefore he had presidential privilege. And so he was speaking fairly, plainly to Mark Meadows. And this was all during the time, the hundreds of minutes that Donald Trump was watching as the Capitol was under assault, as people were trying to hang the Vice President of the United States and murder the Speaker of the House. Mark Meadows was there as Donald Trump was sitting there giddily watching all this stuff go down. I mean, he could do some really serious damage. And according to the ABC News report, quote, according to sources, Meadows has also told federal investigators Trump was being dishonest with the public when he first claimed to have won the election only hours after polls closed on November 3rd, 2020, before the final results were in. Meadows privately, again, this is ABC News, Meadows privately told Smith's investigators that would be, Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, investigators that to this day he has yet to see any evidence of fraud that would have kept Joe Biden out of the White House. ABC reports that its reporters have found numerous assertions about the 2020 election in Meadows' 2021 book, The Chief's Chief, that, quote, appear to be contradicted by what Meadows allegedly told investigators behind closed doors. In other words, Meadows was not only there as this conspiracy was going on to destroy American democracy and make Trump dictator for life. He was not only there for it, he was part of it. And he was not only part of it, but when he published his book continued as part of it. In other words, he was promoting lies in his book that were, the ongoing Trump coup effort.